Most companies think that if they are tracking engineering time, they are protected for R&D tax credit purposes. But that is not always true. One of our senior managers was recently speaking at a Tax Executives Institute event where documentation requirements for U.S. research tax credits was discussed. One topic immediately sparked conversation: time tracking is not always a silver bullet. I shared an example involving a company that used JIRA to track engineering hours. Their records were detailed, organized, and contemporaneous. On the surface, it looked like excellent documentation. But there was a major issue. The company was tracking time to teams, not to individual projects or business components. And under IRC Section 41, that distinction matters. Because the IRS is not simply asking whether engineers spent time working. They are asking whether those activities can be tied to qualified research activities connected to specific business components. If you cannot establish that linkage, your qualified research expenses may become vulnerable during an IRS exam. The question that came up was, is team-level tracking enough? The answer is, it depends. It depends on how the methodology is structured, how the projects are qualified, and whether the data can support the tax position being taken. Interestingly, while the discussion resonated with the room, two tax executives immediately recognized potential exposure areas within their own organizations. That led to follow-up conversations with our team at DST. As we reviewed their processes, we uncovered documentation and methodology gaps that had gone unnoticed. More importantly, one company had been operating in net operating losses for years and had never prioritized generating R&D tax credits because they were not currently taxable. However, they expected to return to profitability within the next few years. That changed everything. Our team, which includes tax engineers, CPAs, and former IRS agents, worked together to create a defensible study roadmap that aligned their technical activities, documentation, and financial data with the actual requirements of the credit. The result was significant. The company is now positioned to generate credits for 6 additional years while improving audit readiness and reducing exposure risk. The takeaway is simple. Documentation alone is not the strategy. The real value comes from building a methodology that tells a credible and supportable story. If your organization is relying heavily on system-generated reports or team-based tracking structures, it may be worth reviewing whether your current approach would hold up under scrutiny. If you would like a complimentary scope out or review of your current R&D tax credit claim for potential exposure areas, reach out to DST Advisory Group. We would be happy to help. Most companies think that if they are tracking engineering time, they are protected for R&D tax credit purposes. But that is not always true. I was recently speaking at a TE event where we were discussing documentation requirements for U.S. research tax credits. We would be happy to help.